Hello and welcome to the Longwood Women's Basketball Coaches Corner. I'm Scott Bacon, joined by head coach of the women's basketball program here at Longwood, Bill Reinson. And Coach, first of all, we appreciate you taking the time.
No problem. Anytime you need me, Scott, I'll be here.
Well, you finished now the non-conference portion of the schedule and played your first 3 games in conference in the Big South, a 3-0 start in conference and really 4-0 now against the Big South conference opponents. What's just your overall assessment of the team thus far?
I think we've come a long way, and this dates back to when I took over the program in December of, wow, how long ago was that now? It was December, a long time ago. But we've come a long way in 2 years. The seniors that we currently have now were sophomores then. They've struggled through about a year and a half of not winning, being frustrated. This year they all decided, though, that they were going to band together and do something a little bit different, and they've really stepped up, and they've been leaders on the team, and we've encountered a lot of success, and I look forward to more.
In looking at that success, and specifically at conference play, did you expect that kind of success right out of the gates?
Well, to be 3-0 is ideal. It doesn't get any better than that. I don't know that you go to every game and you say, we're going to win that one, we're going to lose that one. What I told the girls was we basically can beat any team in the conference anytime we play them, and vice versa. If we don't play well, we can be beaten every time we play a conference team. But we kind of entered conference play on a little bit of a roll. We'd played well before we went to Arizona. Crystal Smith did not accompany us to Arizona, and we battled Arizona and Arizona State very well there. So we're riding kind of a high right now, and the season's series of highs and lows. We're just going to ride this one for as far as it takes us.
Well, now they've won 5 out of 7 games, and you touched on a bit there your message to the team. Preseason, pick last in the Big South Conference. Did you worry about how the team would interpret that at all, what your message was to them as far as setting their expectations?
Well, at the beginning we told them that we believed in them, and we also understood why we were picked 11th. Of all the conference teams, we were the only one who had never won a conference game. So it's understandable that we would be picked near the bottom of the conference. I think that excited them a little bit and got them a little bit more intense. Nobody wants to finish last, and you know, I think we've proven that we can compete with the teams in the Big South.
A lot of memorable firsts already in the early part of this season. The first Big South win at Radford, the first home Big South win against Gardner-Webb, and the first, I'll call it a big win over Winthrop, who was picked to finish 3rd in the league. Is there one of those that will stay with you more as far as a memory that stands out, or maybe more impact for the program?
Well, it has to be the Radford win, the first overall win in the Big South. That was a monumental day in the history of the program, just to play the game, to actually win the game, to win it like we did, come from behind a little bit. That's a day that I won't ever forget. I mean, there's very few firsts that come along in any program, and I was able to be a part of that.
How about winning at home, though, too? That had to feel pretty good. You're now 11th year here at Longwood in front of the home fans, getting a Big South home victory.
It's always good. We really appreciate the fans. Our support this year has been outstanding. You know, in the past, we haven't really played very good basketball. So this year, it's nice to see people come out and see us compete and understand what we're about. And it's always nice to win it for them because they'll keep coming back, and that's the most important thing, get people rallying around your sport.
You could feel the fans rallying around the team in the big victory over Winthrop. I mentioned pick 3rd in the conference, preseason player of the year. Does that really get this team's momentum and confidence rolling with a big victory like that?
I don't know. I'll be able to tell you more on Thursday. But we seem very confident now. We're guarding against getting overconfident. But we seem confident that we can play with any team in the league. We did a very good job on DeQuisha McClanahan. She's a very good player, and Winthrop is very, very talented. And to get that win at home, I think it's going to send a message, at least to the rest of the Big South, that they have to look out for us. Maybe we're not the favorites in the league, but they're not going to be able to sleep on us when we come to their place.
Let's go back to the Gardner-Webb victory for a second. 30-12, the team was down 18 early. And now 5 of your 6 wins on the season are in come-from-behind fashion. It seems like this team now has the confidence that regardless of the deficit, they can overcome it.
Well, I think that goes back to our 4 seniors. Having 4 seniors the first year in the conference is huge. They've played a lot of games, and as I said, you know, early in the season, they haven't won a lot of games, but they've been in a lot of close competition, and they're older, they're more mature, they understand that they're not out of ball games, that they can come back. And when we do get a late lead in the game, I feel very comfortable with our point guards, understanding what plays they need to make and executing them.
Now, the flip side of these come-from-behind victories is that your team has gone through some droughts at times this season. And obviously there's going to be ebbs and flows over the course of a college basketball game, but are there things you're doing with the team to try and work towards avoiding those to those extent and finding some more consistency?
Well, again, I think we're growing as a team. Last year, we had stretches where we would go 8 or 9 minutes without scoring a basket. We haven't really had that outside of maybe the first 2 or 3 games this year. We struggled. So I think they're understanding more that when you're behind or when you miss a few shots, you have to be a little bit more patient. They hadn't been in the past. We throw up a lot of quick shots. That happened a little bit against Winthrop in the second half when they made their comeback. We took a lot of quick shots. They didn't have to play any defense. They went down and scored, and our lead shrank. But they figured it out at the timeout. We talked about it a little bit, said, let's not let this get out of hand. And we started working the ball together. They played very well together, and they share the ball. So, they started utilizing the clock a little bit more and got better shots.
Wanted to turn to some individuals. Chelsea Coward, now a 1,000-point scorer in the program. She was honored last Saturday at the game. Just discuss a bit her impact, her career, and the impact she's had on the program.
Well, she's one of the seniors who has kind of struggled for 3 years, but she's a quality individual, a great kid. She's outstanding in the classroom. At the beginning of the year, I went to her and Aaron Neal, and I explained to them how important it was that they took leadership roles to this team. They've embraced that with open arms. They've taken the freshmen under their wings. They've done everything that you could possibly ask of them, and Chelsea's being rewarded for it. She's got a lot of accolades early in the year, and she's deserved them all.
Another leader on this team is Crystal Smith, the player of the week in the Big South this week. Career high 32 points against Gardner Webb, 23 points, 11 rebounds, 9 assists versus Winthrop, playing outstanding basketball.
I described at the end of the game, I was on the radio broadcast, and I described her play as otherworldly because she has really been outstanding. What she's done, she was always a very good player, always very talented, always able to create for herself and for other people. But what she's done this year is she's cut back on her mistakes. She's slowed it down a little bit. She doesn't make the ridiculous plays that she would in the past. And she's really, really matured. And by the way, just for the record, she's approaching 1,000 points also. So we could have 2 1,000-point scorers this year.
90 points shy, if I'm correct?
90 points shy. And mind you, Chelsea's, not to take away from anyone else in Longwood history, but Chelsea's was the first 1,000-point scorer in the Division I era.
There it is. Well, Daisha Brown, another individual honor. She was Freshman of the Week, now for the second straight week in the Big South Conference. 17 points per game over that stretch. I wanted to touch specifically on the Winthrop game. She had 20 points in that contest, a lot of big buckets down the stretch, and a freshman who seemed to really, at times, be putting the team on her back.
She has no conscience, none at all. She doesn't know that it's a big game, that it's not a big game. She doesn't realize if it's a big shot or it's not a big shot. She just plays basketball. She's athletic. She can create for herself. She made one play in the second half when the score was tied. She drove in the lane. The big girl from Winthrop went up to block her shot. She changed her body in midair, changed her shot, and banked it in. There's not a lot of players in college basketball anywhere who could have made that play.
How about mixing the new with the old? Day-Day is one of your recruits. Some of these older players we've talked about were from the previous era, now in your third year here with the program. Was that tough to find the mix between those players?
Well, we tried to complement what those seniors did when we brought in this recruiting class. We brought in a lot of shooters. Unfortunately, the shooters that we brought in haven't quite come up to speed yet. But the other players that we brought in, Khalil Ali, Deborah Hedden, Raven Williams, and Day-Day, they've all done an outstanding job getting acclimated to Division I basketball, and all on different levels they've been able to help us so far this year. Even Jacqueline Reagan. Jacqueline Reagan's helped us with some big buckets. Kendall Skurzik is going to be a very good player also. But to answer your question, we tried to complement what the other players did, what the seniors and returners did.
What about the games coming up this week and looking at the team aspect again? 2 road games at Presbyterian and at Charleston Southern. Your thoughts on those 2 contests?
Well, the game at Presbyterian, there's only 2 undefeated teams left in the Big South, and it's Longwood and Presbyterian. So that game Thursday night will be for first place. I don't think many people would have predicted this at the beginning of the year, that on Thursday night Presbyterian and Longwood would be playing for first place, but we'll take it. They're a very good team, very fundamentally sound. They run their offense. They run 15 different plays, very difficult to guard. What we'll try to do is we'll try to be athletic. We'll try to take them out of their sets and force them to make plays. They play very solid defense. They're not out there to try and turn you over. And we'll just have to make good plays, good decisions, and score the ball. When we get to Charleston Southern, they've run into a bad stretch. Rochelle Coward, one of the preseason highly ranked players, has been out for about 5 weeks with a broken hand. Nobody's really sure about her return date. Hopefully it won't be Saturday. But, the very talented team who just happens to be missing one of their best players.
This is our first installment of the Coach's Corner, so I did want to backtrack before we wrap things up about your goals at the outset of the season for this team in their first year in conference play, and if they have at all changed at this point now up until the season.
No, I think our goals remain the same. I think every year my goal will be to win the Big South Conference Championship, and that's the ultimate goal. I think a little lesser goal would be to finish in the top 5. The top 5 teams get a bye in the first round, and I think that's important the first week, is to be able to just get there and relax a little bit and not have to play on that first day. So that would be our short-term goal, with the long-term goal being winning the conference championship.
3-0, so far so good.
Well, I was thinking about retiring. I could retire undefeated in the Big South.
Coach Bill Reinson joining us here on the Longwood Women's Basketball Coach's Corner. Coach, we appreciate the time. Look forward to the next installment.
Absolutely. Thank you, Scott.
Again, you've been watching the Longwood Women's Basketball Coach's Corner with head coach Bill Reinson right here on LongwoodLancers.com.